In a game that offers you rocket launchers, grenade launchers, photon cannons, flamethrowers, laser beams, sentient bomb control thingies, I'm always amazed to see how many followers something like a standard assault rifle has. Something like the Braton, for example, which I call the workhorse of Warframe. This is your standard, no frills, no bells, no whistles, assault rifle or submachine gun, whatever you guys want to call it. Today we're going to be putting two of the most prominent members of the Braton family, one versus each other. We're talking about the Braton Prime versus the Braton Vandal. So let's start off with a comparison when it comes to the stats. Do you guys like my pink Vauban? I'm running out of ideas. So there you go. We got the Braton Vandal, now let's compare it to the Braton Prime. And we got the accuracy heavily in favor of the Vandal, 33.3 versus 28.6. And you might say, that doesn't really matter, does it? It does matter on a certain point of view, if you take into account heavy caliber. From my subjective point of view, I believe that heavy caliber is not ideal on any of these weapons because the accuracy really goes to, well, crap, and many of the bullets will be landing outside of the crosshairs on both of these weapons. But it is true, the Braton Vandal is better equipped to deal with heavy caliber than the Braton Prime. Critical chance is also in favor of the Vandal. We're talking about 4% extra. And again, 4% might not seem like a lot because, well, it's not really all that much. But if you factor in all of the mods you're going to be slapping on the weapon, point strike, argon scope, then that 4% definitely adds up to something. Not a whole lot, but something. Same critical multiplier, and the fire rate is in favor of the Braton Prime. We're looking at 9.58 versus 7.5, and the Prime also has a much larger magazine, 75 versus 50, to back up that superior fire rate. Alarming on both, but a faster reload on the Braton Vandal. So you see how it works. Smaller magazine size, but faster reload. Larger magazine size, slower reload. 26% status chance on the Prime, and the Vandal only at 16%, which does hurt the overall performance of the weapon. The weapons have the exact same base damage, but with one minor or major twist depending on your point of view. Impact and puncture interchange places, so basically both of them are slash weapons at 21 slash apiece, but the Braton Vandal has more impact while the Braton Prime has more puncture. To be honest, it doesn't really matter all that much either way, but again, you should take away that from an IPS perspective and considering most players' preferences, it would be ideal to have more puncture over impact, and ideally, of course, you would have slash, because slash, we can transform that slash into fantastic procs. Now let's have a look at the weapon builds we're going to be using, starting with the Braton Prime, and this will be your standard rudimentary cheapo build for the Prime. We got Serration for damage, multi-shot with split chamber, vigilante armaments, critical chance, critical damage combo between point strike and vital sense, and we got 3 elemental mods. We got 2 of the 90s and 1 60-60 mod. Now, ideally, for the max amount of performance and blah blah all that, you want to go for 2 60-60 mods. The reason why you don't see the electricity mod here is this is a cheap build. This is no mod costs more than 10 plat build, and high voltage unfortunately is a lot more than 10 plat. So if you're newer to Warframe, you want to look at a build such as this. Now high voltage is farmable from the game. The mission Nilgar Planetaris, you gotta find all the free secret caches, then upon extraction you get to enjoy the massive 5% chance of getting this one, or Shell Shock. I'll be honest with you guys, it's such a pain to farm these bloody mods, so if you see Battle Bring, High Voltage or Shell Shock, or any 60-60 electricity mod, make sure you have one a pair for any build that you might come across. Do yourself a favor and stay away from Nilgar Eris. But again, for the optimal performance, 2 60-60 mods, in this case we're going cheap. We gotta be cheap before we can be expensive, so we're gonna go like this. We're gonna be spawning in Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120, as these are the benchmark, and let me check really quick so I don't cheat with arcanes or auras, or okay, Avenger will not proc because nobody will hit me, Siphon is fine, Rush is fine. So nothing from poor old Vauban. We're not gonna be using any of his abilities, so the passive doesn't kick in. Level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons, and I want you guys to listen to the sound this weapon makes. Beautiful. Absolutely freaking gorgeous. I'll be honest with you, I'm more of a laser beam kind of guy. Photon cannons, rocket launchers, anything that's not rudimentary, not standard. But I love the sound on this thing. Just listen, one more time, listen to it. How is that not beautiful? Just freaking gorgeous. I love the sound on this one. It reminds me of Counter-Strike for some reason. Now, when it comes to the performance of the weapon, we can take out a 120 corrupted heavy gun in about 40 to 50 bullets, give or take, depending how lucky we get. What is that? 30 bullets out of a magazine, which is 75, right? Okay, so that took me 45 bullets. That's roughly where you're gonna be at with a standard build with the Braton Prime. Now, let's hop on over to the Vandal. Now, initially, Vandal, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was a reward for the early beta testers. And later, they reintroduced it. To be honest, it's not really... Neither of these weapons are like quote-unquote endgame weapons, but you gotta give it to them because even in higher level content, like you saw there, level 120, with the right build, they can definitely hold their own. So I'm not disrespecting the Braton lineage and all whatnot. Alright, the standard build for this one as well. We're going to be using the exact same build with the exact same captions that I did earlier. Again, for the maximum performance, you want to go with 260-60 mods. And you'll notice the small differences. We got slightly higher critical chance instead of 30%. We got 40%, which already makes it viable for Hunter Mumu, but more on that later. But we got a lower status chance at 52.3 versus a 73 point something on the Braton Prime. Now keep in mind that is a shot status chance, not true status chance. With weapons such as the Braton, assault rifles or rifles in general, you don't really need to go overboard for the true 100% status chance. That only really applies to pellet based weapons, so bear that one in mind. Like if your weapon is firing 7, 8, 10 pellets by default, then yeah, you gotta worry about status chance. But if not, it's fine. Same targets as before. Now let's see how the Vandal does. And keep in mind that this one, a full set for this one is still stupid expensive. I'm looking at 200 to 300 plat. Is it worth? Let's have a look. I did get a kill out of 50 bullets, but just barely. And the sound is a little bit different too, and trust me, it's not only the fire rate difference. Of course, you can feel the fire rate difference, but listen to it. It doesn't sound the same as the Prime. Almost got a kill there. We got a couple of slashes, we got a couple of procs on it as well. Now, from seeing just this footage alone, you might be tempted to say, clearly the Prime is better. And to be honest, spoiler alert, I also believe that overall the Prime is better. But the Vandal will be catching up in performance when we're talking about slash builds. So let's do that one next. Again, I love the sound. I think the sound on the Prime just simply does it for me. Maybe that's why I'm a little biased. When it comes to slash builds, we're going to be using this build on both weapons. Essentially, on the Bratons, what you can do is get slashes from two sources. First off, Hunter Mumu. Everybody loves Hunter Mumu. Yes, 30% chance to apply slash on critical hit. My critical chance is 40%, but I'm going to be getting the bonus from Argon Scope. I should be going to rough something like 60%, something like that, a bit under 60, I believe. So that's enough for some solid procs. The second source of slash procs will be through the weapon's innate slash value, 104. Keep in mind the IPS rules in Warframe. Impact, puncture, and slash. The physical types have a 4 times greater chance at applying status over elemental types such as viral. Of course, most slash builds work fantastically well with viral damage, which is why we got Rhyme Rounds and Malignant Force, and we're using the 60-60 mods, not the 90 mods, because increasing the status chance of the weapon will also mean more slash procs from the weapon's slash value. You get it, right? The rest is the same. Serration, multi-shot to split chamber, critical chance, critical damage with point strike, vital sense. And again, if you guys want to see detailed build guides on the Bratons, there are links in the cards. This time starting off with the Braton Vandal, the same corrupted heavy goons, level 120. Now the test to any slash build, at least from my point of view, is set a target till about 50% HP, give or take a percentage, and watch if the slashes manage to finish off the target. So let's go to town on this corrupted heavy goon. Till about 50-ish%, there we go, and watch the slashes deal the damage. I got my viral proc, I got my slashes, plenty of bullets left in my magazine from 50, I still had like 14 left. Now of course results will differ and your mileage may vary because you might get unlucky with the procs, that is totally possible. But as you can see, for the most part, the Braton Vandal can definitely hold its own to higher level targets with a viral slash build like this. It performs decently well, I wanna say. But considering the performance of the weapon, for the Vandal specifically, I just don't feel that it's worth the plat people are asking for when it comes to actually buying a full set. Now you can farm it for yourself, you saw there, viral proc slipped off, I was a bit unlucky with the slash procs as well. To be perfectly clear, this set doesn't cost a whole lot because how good and amazing it is in terms of power. It costs so much simply because it's a pain in the arse to farm. So bear that one in mind. So that's what the Vandal can do. Let's switch to a slash build with a Prime as well. Now the Prime variant does have less critical chance, which will mean what? Less slashes from Hunter munitions, but we got higher status chance, which means more slashes from the weapon's innate slash value. The build, as you see, is identical as before. There's a good debate on whether should we put Argon Scope on the Braton Prime at all, or should we use critical chance at all. Point Strike is a must, okay? Argon Scope we can talk about. We can talk about swapping that one out for something like more multi-shot, but in this case we're going to be using the exact same build as before, and let's see how this one performs. And when it comes to actually measuring the performance of these weapons, you gotta take a whole lot of things into account. Fire rate, magazine, reload time. If you just want to calculate DPS in a spreadsheet, that's simple. But when it comes to actual usability in gameplay, things might turn out just a little bit differently. Again, DPS belongs on paper from my point of view. Now here is the Prime. So once again, till 50%, as you can see, plenty of slashes on my target, a whole lot more than before. It's basically a Christmas tree, got my vital, got everything. So as you can see, the Prime doesn't really have a problem, even with a lower critical chance on a slash build, because it will be getting those slashes that it misses from the extra critical chance through the weapon's innate status chance or its IPS slash value. And that sounded a whole lot more complicated than it needed to be. The point is, my friends, that these are the tests that I wanted to highlight, and there's one more thing that should be talked about, Riven Disposition. It's pointless to compare Rivens, but the Riven Disposition for the Braton family is right now at 4 out of 5. We're talking about 1.2 Riven Disposition, which means that we get to enjoy very powerful Rivens for the Bratons. And you know what? Braton Rivens are not expensive at all. I mean, you can get one for 20 plat unrolled. Okay, maybe 30 plat, but no more than that. Because again, they're not really endgame weapons. Not everybody uses the Braton. I see a whole lot of veterans that use it for the sake of nostalgia. Don't get me wrong, once upon a time the Braton Prime might have been the assault rifle to have, or rifle to have. It's not that time anymore. It's long gone. We got a lot of more powerful weapons in Warframe, but if you're looking for something a bit more standard, a bit more rudimentary, something more classic FPS, then look no further than the Braton family. It can still get the job done, so feel free to invest in the weapons. But do bear in mind there are plenty of more powerful weapons that will be made available to you. As for which is better, the Prime or the Vandal, well, my friends, from an objective point of view, I gotta give it to the Braton Prime. It's a little bit more powerful, not a whole lot, and you know what? It won't make that big of a difference, so simply go for whatever you feel more comfortable with. But when it comes to performance, the Prime does have the edge. And I believe, my friends, that's pretty much gonna do it for today. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any sorts of feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content, consider supporting us via Patreon. Until next time, my friends, bye-bye.